Here are the top stories for today, July 30, 2020. The Labor Department says the Bayanihan 2 bill will boost government programs that aid workers affected by the effects of COVID-19. Joint Task Force COVID Shield drafts quarantine rules on the barangay level to stop the spread of COVID-19. The Department of Agriculture confirms a case of bird flu in Pampanga. And Beijing vows to prioritize the Philippines once it succeeds in developing a COVID-19 vaccine. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Department of Labor and Employment is positive that the approval of the Bayanihan to Recover as One bill, or the Bayanihan 2, would benefit more workers affected by COVID-19. Senate Bill 1564, or the Bayanihan 2, has already passed the third and final reading at the Senate. DOLE Undersecretary Joji Aragon said proposed measures will reconfigure DOLE's existing programs to help defeat the disease. Under Bayanihan 1, Aragon said, DOLE implemented COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program, tulong panghanap buhay sa ating disadvantaged or displaced workers, at abot kamay ang pagtulong. She said the more relaxed quarantine measures in most parts of the country will help DOLE implement the programs needed to assist affected workers.
Iniisip po natin ng ating leadership at ni Secretary Bello ay maging mas relevant ang tupad dahil dito sa pandemya na ito. Kailangan hong tulong-tulong tayo at ang Department of Labor ay kasama ninyo sa pag-defeat ng COVID-19. And therefore, pag nag-emergency employment program po tayo, magsisimula po tayo sa tinatawag na barangay-based or community-based emergency employment para ang pump priming ng ating employment ay magsimula sa mga countryside.
Reducing the nutrition gap remains a top priority of the Duterte administration. It is maximizing science and technology to fill the nutrition gap and better provide Filipino children with healthy food. Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles says the Nutri-Bun is an example of the science-driven solutions to address hunger and malnutrition. The Nutri-Bun is a ready-to-eat bread that was distributed in supplementary feeding programs to combat child malnutrition in the 1970s. Nograles said the Food and Nutrition Research Institute has reformulated the ingredients to come up with an enhanced Nutri-Bun that is more delicious, more nutritious, and has better texture. The development of the enhanced Nutri-Bun is in line with the issuances of the Department of Social Welfare and Development and the Department of Education on supplementary feeding programs during community quarantine or other similar emergencies. The local government units are intensifying its efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19. In Manila, another walk-in COVID-19 testing center is launched. In Pasig, more contact tracers are being trained. And in Makati, frontliners get free flu vaccines. More on this from Chris Mundo.
The city government of Manila on Wednesday launched its third COVID-19 walk-in testing center at the Justice Jose Abad Santos General Hospital in Binondo. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso said the serology testing machine located just outside the hospital can eventually process about 400 to 500 tests per day. The city now has a drive-through, mobile, and walk-in COVID-19 testing centers. The mobile COVID-19 serology machines are being deployed to different barangays every day. Domagoso said the city is buying another serology testing machine to be deployed at the Ospital ng Tondo. The COVID-19 tests being done by the City of Manila may also be availed for free by non-residents. In Pasig City, over 200 new healthcare workers on Tuesday started their training as contact tracers of Pasig City. In a Facebook post, Mayor Vico Soto said the city government is hiring more contact tracers to reinforce its current health workforce. The new contact tracers are supposed to be deployed to perform a comprehensive survey and collect data needed in various barangays in Pasig City. However, deployment has been temporarily postponed because of some health risks. In Makati, the local government provided free flu vaccines to some 5,130 frontliners and essential workers to boost their immune system. Apart from the free vaccines, frontline workers also receive free vitamins. The Department of Health has earlier recommended flu and pneumonia vaccines to prevent additional complications from the dreaded coronavirus disease. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
Joint Task Force COVID Shield has started drafting guidelines on the mandatory wearing of face masks and other quarantine rules. JTF COVID Shield Commander Lieutenant General Guillermo Irizar said the guidelines would be cascaded to the more than 42,000 barangays. Among the initial proposals being considered include the prohibition of large gatherings for birthdays and other celebrations, ban of drinking sessions especially along the streets, holding a fiesta and sports competitions and other activities that would violate the rules on mass gathering and physical distancing. The barangay or PNP focal persons will supervise the barangay tanods in the implementation of the guidelines. They would be tasked to submit regular reports in their respective barangay assignments. The DILG in Pampanga is enhancing its zoning containment strategy in efforts to further contain the spread of COVID-19 in communities. More on this and other news from the provinces from Marita Moahe.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government in Pampanga is strengthening the capacities of its field officers and the local government units for the implementation of a zoning containment strategy against COVID-19. The zoning strategy emphasizes on the importance of testing, surveillance, and reporting as a strategic approach to stem the spread of the virus in the community as soon as it has been detected. The DILG also had an orientation on the revised Harmonized Contact Tracing Report that was jointly created with the Department of Health. The revised reporting template hopes to resolve all discrepancy in data reporting for the proper management of the pandemic. In Cebu, the city government announced the good news of a total of 5,075 recoveries from COVID-19 with the addition of 111 patients as of Tuesday's data. Total number of recoveries represents 57.58% of the total confirmed COVID-19 cases of 8,813 in the capital city. As of Tuesday afternoon, the city has only 43 new coronavirus cases, bringing its total active cases to 3,266 with only 2 fatalities. Environment Secretary Roy Semato, the IATF overseer for Cebu, earlier said the positivity rate in the city has also dropped to 11% in July as compared to 30% in June. Meanwhile, 2 more individuals in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao have tested positive for COVID-19, raising the total confirmed patients in the region to 453. Of the 453 patients, 273 recovered and have stepped out of the region's isolation facilities for an equivalent of a 60% recovery rate. Dr. Ameril Usman, head of BARM's Ministry of Health Epidemiology Surveillance Unit, warns of the arrival of new locally stranded individuals coming to BARM, including those currently at the Rizal Memorial Sports Stadium in Manila and those from Sabah. Usman said of the total reported 453 total positive patients in the region, 360 are LSIs and 60 are returning overseas Filipinos. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Moahe.
Still to come, Mati City in Davao Oriental taps the police to help address tourism arrivals. The Department of Agriculture confirms a case of bird flu in Pampanga. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Alamin ang tamang paraan ng pag-ubo upang mapigilan ang paglaganap ng Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ugaliing magdala ng panyo o tissue. Kung uubo o babahing, takpan ang buong ilong at bibig gamit ang panyo o tissue. Kung walang dalang panyo o tissue, maaaring gamitin ang braso na pantakip. Kung nakararamdam na kailangan umubo o bumahing, agad na dumistansya sa mga tao sa paligid. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan, gumamit ng tissue at itapon sa basurahan. Ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer upang mamatay ang mikrobyo. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito. Alamin kung paano ang tamang pagsusuot ng surgical mask. Una, hawakan ang mask sa strap at siguruhing natatakpan nito ang inyong bibig at ilong. Tandaan, ang may kulay na bahagi ng mask ang dapat nasa labas. Ito lamang ang tamang paraan ng pagsuot nito. Ihulma ang nose piece o maliit na metallic strip ayon sa hugis ng inyong ilong. Iwasan ang paghawak sa inyong ilong at bibig. Kung marumi na ang mask, hubarin ito gamit ang strap at itapon ito sa isang basurahan. Siguruhin ang maayos na paghuhugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig. Ang surgical mask ay dapat gamitin ng mga pasyenteng may sakit sa baga o mga taong mayroong ubo, sipon at lagnat, mga nag-aalaga sa mga may sakit, at mga healthcare at frontline workers. Maaari ring magsuot nito kung kayo ay pupunta sa matataong lugar. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
The Mati City local government in Davao Oriental reactivated its tourism-oriented police for the Community Order and Protection Program. This program aims to address the high tourist arrivals in the city. The tourist police was created in 2010 but discontinued by the next administration. City Information Officer Ben Tiasorna said the reactivation aims to support the Department of Tourism's program that seeks to strengthen partnerships with the Philippine National Police. Mati City Mayor Michelle Nakpil Rabat says 20 tourist cops are undergoing training on safety and security, tour guiding, tourism and cultural awareness, effective customer service, and basic life support. Tourist cops will be deployed to highly concentrated tourist destinations like beach resorts, urban centers, and public markets.
The tourist police here is to aid us in providing security for our guests. After all, we want, as the saying goes, we dress to impress, because impressions last. So I want our tourists coming into Mati upon entering feeling safe. Aside from the police, you would also need additional force multipliers sa dagat po. So I intend to tap the Coast Guards, and this time we call them the beach buddies.
Some 100 IP families affected by earthquakes last year are set to receive housing units in North Cotabato. Meanwhile, Task Force Bangon Marawi assures it will fast-track its rehabilitation works. Here is our report.
Some 100 indigenous peoples' families are beneficiaries of the housing units provided by the government through the effort of North Cotabato Governor Nancy Catamco and the National Housing Authority. Catamco said the beneficiaries of the housing project are Tiboli and Blaan tribes people in Barangay Bakung, Tulunan, North Cotabato, whose homes were damaged by the series of earthquakes last year. She said she will facilitate the construction of farm-to-market roads from the IP village so they can bring their agricultural produce quickly to the town market. Meanwhile, 25 former combatants of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front are set to embark on a 16-week training on organic farming that is expected to further improve the production of their farmlands. Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Agrarian Reform Minister Abdul Raouf Makakuwa said the trainees will engage themselves in organic vegetable production at their farms in Sultan Kudarat, Maguindanao. The organic farming training program, dubbed as Season-Long Training on Organic Vegetable Production, will start in August and end by November this year in partnership with the Department of Agriculture, Region 12. It will be facilitated by MAFAR BARMM under its flagship program SALIG, or Services and Actions with Love and Integrity from the Government. In other news, Task Force Bangon Marawi announced that the rehabilitation programs are now on full blast for the benefit of displaced families affected by the 2017 terror siege. TFBM said it plans to finish the Marawi Maritime Outpost through the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Grand Padian Central Market, School of Living Tradition, Peace Memorial Park, Marawi Museum, 5 barangay halls with health centers, and madrasa schools in partnership with the local government. TFBM said it also plans to reconstruct and renovate 31 mosques within the Islamic city's MAA or Ground Zero. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
The Department of Agriculture, through the Bureau of Animal Industry, confirmed the detection of a highly pathogenic avian influenza strain, specifically AH5N6, in a poultry layer or egg-producing farm in San Luis, Pampanga. To control the spread of the virus, the DA-BAI ordered the culling of a total of over 30,000 heads of layers and disposed of them properly. All personnel involved in disease control measures were strictly monitored by the Health Office of San Luis. The AH5N6 has not been reported and detected among broilers, the primary source of poultry meat. Initial field investigation showed the presence in San Luis of migratory birds, which has been associated with bird flu outbreaks in many countries, including the Philippines. The DENR has identified 117 important bird areas in the country, and about 150,000 migratory birds nest and breed annually in Central Luzon. The DA-BAI urged poultry raisers in Central Luzon to protect and shield their farms from the entry of migratory birds and immediately report any unusual poultry mortalities. The Department of Justice formally received the death certificates of 21 persons deprived of liberty who died from COVID-19. These certificates will be turned over to the National Bureau of Investigation, which is conducting an independent investigation into the deaths of high-profile drug convicts. Justice Undersecretary and spokesperson Mark Perete confirmed that among those in the list are high-profile PDLs, namely J.B. Sebastian, Francis Go, Jimmy Yang, Benjamin Marcelo, Zhang Zuli, Jimmy Kin Sing Hung, Eugene Chua, Ryan Ong, and Amin Boratong. Perete declined to name the other inmates on the list. The House Committee on Ways and Means approves a 12% value-added tax on digital transactions in the country. The panel, chaired by Representative Joey Salceda, approved a substitute bill taxing digital service providers that operate through online platforms. Salceda noted that foreign corporations selling digital services such as Netflix, Spotify, and others will have to pay for and impose VAT on their services. Digital services include online licensing or software, updates and add-ons, website filters and firewalls, mobile applications, video games and online games, and webcasts and webinars. It also includes the provisions of digital content such as music, files, images, text and information, online advertising spaces, electronic marketplaces, search engine services, social networks, database and hosting, and online training, among others. Salceda said no new taxes would be imposed as he guaranteed exemptions for small businesses. Up next, Beijing vows to prioritize the Philippines once it succeeds in developing a COVID-19 vaccine. And President Duterte declares Eid'l Adha on July 31st as a holiday. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Sa matinding laban natin sa Coronavirus Disease 2019, sugpuin din natin ang pagkalat ng fake news. Huwag magbahagi ng impormasyon na hindi tiyak ang pinagmulan. I-check mabuti ang source ng balita Kumuha lamang ng impormasyon mula sa mga official channel ng Department of Health. Huwag magpadala sa maling balita, basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito. Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry assured that Beijing will prioritize the Philippines once it succeeds with the vaccine development for coronavirus COVID-19. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin last Tuesday said China and the Philippines have been standing together as they turn anti-epidemic cooperation into a new highlight in bilateral relations. He cited that the Philippines is a friendly, close neighbor and China will give priority to its needs once they succeed in developing a vaccine. The statement comes after President Duterte, in his fifth State of the Nation address, said he personally asked Chinese President Xi Jinping to allow Manila to be the first nation to receive its vaccine once it passed all clinical trials. Wang said China also appreciates Duterte's South China Sea remarks, which underscored the Philippines' position in pursuing diplomatic means to counter Beijing's vast claims in the region. The Department of Health maintains that polymerase chain reaction, or PCR, is the best test used for symptomatic patients of COVID-19. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere reiterated that PCR is very sensitive and can detect the virus or the virus genetic material or remnants. She added there were reports that patients can remain consistently PCR positive for many weeks or even test PCR positive after days or weeks of negative testing. Vergere made the remark in response to Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri's question on the sensitivity of PCR test kits. On Monday, Zubiri said he skipped President Duterte's State of the Nation address after his RT-PCR reaction test turned positive for COVID-19, contrary to the negative result of his rapid antibody test. In our foreign news, the United States has exceeded 150,000 COVID-19 related deaths as it struggles to cope with the pandemic, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. In all, the university's running tally counted 150,034 fatalities and over 4.39 million confirmed cases. More than 1.35 million, on the other hand, have recovered. A report from President Donald Trump's task force put 21 states into what it calls red zones. But Trump has continued to insist on the reopening of states, saying that governors should be carrying out further reopening. COVID-19 has also claimed 921 lives in Brazil and 737 in Mexico over the past 24 hours, according to health authorities on Wednesday. In Brazil, the death toll reached over 88,000 with latest fatalities, while the number of cases surged to nearly 2.5 million. The number of recoveries also surpassed 1.66 million in the country. On the other hand, the death toll in Mexico hit nearly 45,000. The total number of cases rose to over 402,000, while about 261,000 people have recovered from the disease. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat enjoins industry stakeholders to assist the Department of Tourism in convincing and preparing destinations for eventual tourism reopening. Romulo Puyat noted that a lot of provinces have already shifted to MGCQ, meaning they can already accept tourists. However, provinces are still hesitant to open up to people outside of their respective regions. Romulo Puyat also hoped that stakeholders would partner alongside the government when tourism under the new normal has finally begun. Since the DOT issued guidelines for various tourism establishments amid the pandemic, Romulo Puyat had been in talks with different LGUs in Boracay, Palawan, Bohol, and Baguio. Meanwhile, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, or PEZA, has officially launched its online job fair under the Development Outreach for Labor, Livelihood, and Advancement of Resources, or DOLE program. One of the objectives of the DOLE program is linking Filipinos, especially displaced overseas Filipino workers, to PEZA-registered companies located in over 400 economic zones nationwide. Over 69,000 job openings across the country will be available under the virtual job fair. Jobs for new graduates and work-from-home arrangements are also offered. The government is constructing 1,500 permanent houses for the families who lost their homes in Ground Zero, referred to by Task Force Bangon Marawi as the most affected area of Marawi City. In partnership with the UN Habitat, the 55th Army Engineer Brigade is helping build the homes for the families displaced by the siege in 2017. 250 families were chosen through a raffle to own a permanent shelter inside the 70-hectare land acquired by the National Housing Authority in Barangay Kilala, Marawi City. Marawi City Mayor Majul Gandamra said these families used to live in the 6-meter easement from the Agus River and inside the 20-meter reclamation area of Lake Lanao. Of the 1,500 units, the UN Habitat will build 250 through the financial support from the government of Japan. The UN Habitat has 3 other permanent housing locations in the villages of Dulay Proper, Dulay West, and Barangay Gandongan. The project is part of the organization's Rebuilding Marawi through Shelter and Livelihood project, which was started after the 2017 Marawi siege. President Duterte has declared July 31st, Friday, a regular holiday across the country in observance of Eid'l Adha, or the Feast of Sacrifice. Based on Proclamation number 985 signed by Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos made the recommendation that July 31 be declared a national holiday. Eid'l Adha is the second of 2 Islamic holidays celebrated worldwide each year. The feast honors the willingness of Ibrahim to sacrifice his son as an act of obedience to God's command. It also marks the culmination of the Muslims' annual pilgrimage to Mecca, or the Hajj. It is one of the greatest feasts of Islam, and Republic Act number 9849 provides that it would be observed as a regular holiday. Last year, Duterte declared August 12, 2019 a holiday in observance of the Feast of Sacrifice. Here's the latest from our community billboard. The MRT-3 will reschedule its weekend suspension of operations for rail replacement works from August to September to October to November 2020. From August 8 to 9, August 21 to 23, and September 12 to 13, the suspended weekend operations will be moved to October 10 to 12, October 31, November 1 and 2, and November 14 and 15. According to maintenance provider Sumitomo, this is due to travel restrictions being imposed by countries to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Sumitomo assures that this rescheduling will not affect the target completion of the rail replacement by the end of September 2020 and the increase of train speed to 60 kilometers per hour by December 2020. Meanwhile, 19 international flights will be flying out from Clark International Airport starting August in support of the national government's aim to bring home stranded overseas Filipinos. Flights resuming beginning August 1. Emirates will resume Dubai-Clark-Dubai daily except Sunday. Jeju airs Incheon-Clark-Incheon every Tuesday and Friday. Jetstar Singapore-Clark-Singapore every Sunday starting August 12. Jin airs Incheon-Clark-Incheon every Monday and Wednesday, and Qatar Airways Doha-Clark-Doha daily except Wednesday and Sunday. On the domestic front, Cebu Pacific will resume its Cebu-Clark-Cebu flight on August 1st, and every Tuesday thereafter, Philippine Airlines its Davao-Clark-Davao flights every Friday, and AirAsia's Clark-Davao-Clark flights every Saturday. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The Labor Department says the Bayanihan 2 bill will boost government programs that aid workers affected by the effects of COVID-19. Joint Task Force COVID Shield drafts quarantine rules on the barangay level to stop the spread of COVID-19. The Department of Agriculture confirms a case of bird flu in Pampanga. And Beijing vows to prioritize the Philippines once it succeeds in developing a COVID-19 vaccine. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, visit our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day and stay safe,